But I get so disgusted with those ungodly folks that tore up everything that the previous king had set up in goodness, tear it all down. Hezekiah was a great man, but his son Manasseh, he was a stinker. He just tore up everything his dad did. Oh, finally he got right with God later on in his life, but he had messed up everything. I'm just trying to tell you this business of what you are usually is what the people around you are. If you're a dad or a mother, your children, as the father sets his children's teeth on edge so that will rub off on them, or as the mother, so is the daughter. That's the Bible. That's the way it is. You are what you are. You help people to gain ground, or you help them to lose ground. If a ruler hearkeneth to lies, all of his servants are wicked. Christian leaders, you don't lie. You better to keep your mouth shut, not say anything, than to lie. I like what Abraham Lincoln said. He said, one thing about lying, he said, you always have to remember what you said. But if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. You can just go on and live life. But let's go to verse 13. The poor and the deceitful man meet together. The Lord lighteneth both their eyes. We're talking about poor people, and we're talking about deceitful people. Usually the people that are poor have become poor because they've been deceived by these other people. They dwell together, and the Lord has opened up both of their eyes, but somehow or other, I hope you could listen to my thoughts. Here, I want to just go back in Proverbs 22:2. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. God created rich, let's put it this way, God didn't have you born so you could be poor. He didn't necessarily have you born so you could be rich. God doesn't make you rich, or God doesn't make you poor in the sense that you couldn't be rich. You don't have to be poor. But when we're speaking about enlightening both of their eyes, some people have more understanding how to put things together and make money. And usually it's at the expense of the poor person. I'm going to get to where I'm going here. It's a little confusing, but Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself. He protects himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. I tell you how you can not be poor. First of all, you have eyes. You have illumination. You can foresee the difficulty. And if I do this, then this is going to happen. But if I don't do that, then this is going to happen. So your mind just keeps wandering back and forth. But some people are able to see a little better down the future. He said, but the Lord hath enlightened both of their eyes. And these decisions that you make will either cause you to be poor or wealthy, or perhaps at least make a living. If you could have insight, if you could be able to protect yourself from having difficulty, maybe, let me put it this way, by planning, maybe maybe by, first of all, getting an education, planning ahead a little bit so you have an occupation, so you have a means of making money and putting things together so you could get the necessities of life. But if you don't do any planning and just hope for something good to happen, it won't. You have to work at it. You have to get some smarts. You have to get an education. You have to study. You really, you have to prepare to some degree. There's some kind of a safeguard for your future. We have a family in our church. He died some 2 or 3 years ago. She's still living. She's has seemingly a good retirement plan. They've been in our church for 40 years. He had 2 jobs, and she had 1 job. And he did something else on the side to make some more money. She told me 40 years ago or more, she said, Brother Green, I just want, when I retire, we want to have something. We don't have to live off of other people. We don't have to depend on other people. We can have a good retirement. And that's what they've done. They planned ahead. I mean, I'm really not for women working, but I mean, she's got money. She can go out and buy a brand new car today. She can go out and buy a new home today if she wanted to. They got money. You say, well, I'm just trying to tell you. Some people have got a little more insight. There's a fella who used to be on the Kavanaugh and Cedar Street. There's a building there, used to be, what's his name, Crazy Joe? I can't remember it, but he sold mattresses. And he made up his mind when he was a young man, he said, I'm gonna work 80 hours a week until I'm 40. That would be, most people work 40 hours. He was gonna, while he was young and had his strength, he was gonna work 80 hours a week. So he could make twice as much money in those years when he had his strength. And then when he became, after 40 years, he's gonna retire. And now he has a home in one of the Hawaiian Islands, another home up in Mackinac Island, and living luxuriously. But he worked 8 hours. I mean, he worked 40 hours, 80 hours a week, but he planned ahead, so I wouldn't do that. Well, you don't have to. But you're not going to just say, well, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen, and I can't, or you work, and you plan, and you prepare, and you educate yourself, and you get going, and you make life worth something to you. That's what Solomon is trying to say to his son here. You have to protect yourself. You want to please God with your lives, but if I don't know what you young people, I don't know, I don't look at the books. But if there's one of you kids are so stupid that you don't tithe your income, you are a nincompoop. You are the dumbest kid in this class. You can make money by tithing your income to God. God will bless you and open up the windows of heaven and pour you out blessing and take care of you all through your life by you consistently being a tither. Be a tightwad, and you'll be sleeping in haymows and backyards and under bushes. God will bless your life if you'll consider Him in your tithing. So I don't make much money. I don't care how much you make. If you made 10 cents, you can still give God a penny. And that's where you put God first. He'll enlighten you. Because you did what was right, He'll enlighten you. He'll give you more and more and more light. Here it is. Inside that little portfolio is darkness. But when I open it up a crack, It's all full of light. It's not full of light, but it's more light than it ever has been in there. Now as I open it up and open it up and open it up and open it up and open it up, more light until it's completely illuminated. And if you will walk in this much light, God will give you this much light. And if you walk in that light, God will give you this much and this much and this much and this much and this much. But you have to work at it. Do what He tells you to do. Go through doors as He opens an opportunity. Go through those doors. I don't know how to tell you. If you'll stay close to God, He'll guide you. And but on the other hand, the Lord enlightened these people. But if you shut the light off, look, you go back to darkness. It's your life, really. If you listen to your parents, they've been down life's road. They know more in 5 minutes than you'll know in 5 years. You may think they're dumb, stupid, but they're not. Even if they're lost and unsaved people. Life experiences has enlightened them. They know more than you know. If you listen to your pastor, if you listen to your school teacher, if you listen to those instructors, by and by you'll pick up knowledge. Shut your brains off and you'll be in darkness. God wants to help you, really. And if you could just, I think maybe Proverbs 22 and verse 3. Did I lay that out here? Mm-hmm. I think maybe I did. I'm going to read this. I want to read this to you. Proverbs 22 and verse 3 through 7 will show you how to get rich. A prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. But thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be fine. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. He's talking about borrowing money. You'll always be a slave if you keep borrowing money. They're making money off of you with their usury and their interest, and you're paying them and you become a servant to them. But he's trying, I'm sorry for you. I feel sorry for you if you don't have good parents that train you as you grow up. If you just do whatever you want to do, they don't restrain you from doing anything, you will have no sense. You'll have no reason, no way at all. I mean, you might get rich selling drugs, but you'll probably get busted and put in prison. You may be crooked and rob banks and make money, but it'll catch up to you too. But if you just listen to your parents pretty well, they will guide you in your life. If they're good parents, if they're not, I'm sorry. I had wonderful parents, and I can't say everybody does, but I have had good parents that trained me and somewhat tried to put in my mind the value of a dollar bill without making it my God, but that you just don't buy everything you want, you don't go in debt for things that you can't afford, you live inside your income. And you make your way through life little by little and line upon line and precept upon precept and here a little and there a little, but not just going foolishly, lavishly spending money for things you can't afford and shouldn't afford and have to go head over heels in debt for. That's what Solomon is trying to tell his boy in our lesson. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. You live long enough, you'll know what I'm talking about when you have to make house payments and car payments and all that kind of stuff. You'll know why you go to work every morning. I see these guys out here putting roofs on houses in the middle of the winter when it's below 0 or 12 degrees above 0. Cold as cold can be, and they're up there with a hammer, and they're up there with nails, and they're putting on shingles. You say, boy, I wouldn't do that. No, but do you know why they're doing that? They get hungry if they don't. You have to make a living. So you have to do what you have to do when you have to do it the way you can do it. That's what you do. I don't think I'm making any sense to you, but it's a world of wisdom if you could just understand what I'm saying. Well, I'm going to verse 14. The king that faithfully judges the poor, his throne shall be established forever. It's really boils down to 2 words: do right. If you'll do right, you'll be established forever. Life is really quite simple. You take it one day at a time, and you do right today, and then you do right tomorrow, and then you do right the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the first thing you know, you've got a whole week of doing right. Then the next week you do right, and you have 2 weeks of doing right. And then another week, and first you know, you got a whole month of every day, day after day, doing right. And then the first you know, there's 12 of those months go by, and you've done a whole year of doing right, one day at a time. And then there's years ahead, when year after year, your whole lifetime, you do right, one day at a time. When decisions come, I'm going to do right. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Others can do it if they want, but I'm not doing that. I'm going to do right. And you do that, God will bless your life beyond anything you could ever imagine. And you'll have a happy life. And you'll have a successful life. And you'll enjoy your associates and associations with people, and they'll love you, and they'll respect you, and you'll love them, and you'll have friends that will stick with you through thick and thin, and you'll be able to enjoy a wonderful life, I say. When you have blessings of God, have a blessed marriage. Now you have a blessed marriage, you do right. Every day, you do right. You have good children, you do right. You have to do right by them. You have a good education, it's because you applied yourself. You have peace in your heart because you done right. And you'll have be able to sleep at night. You'll be able to have a beautiful life, a successful life, a pleasant death, and an abundant entrance into the kingdom of God, because what you've done right all the days of your life. And you'll have rewards in heaven because you did right. It's just simple. Do right. Bob Jones Sr. said, do right till the stars fall. Just keep on doing right. You'll have a good life. Right here, now, today, and tomorrow, just doing right. Verse 15, the rod and reproof given wisdom, But a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. Undisciplined children will hurt you, shame you. And I don't know how you feel about this. Maybe the other people that are watching this on a video, I don't know how you could raise a child successfully as a Christian and not chastise that child, not train that child. When you train them, you show them that you love them. When you train them, you say, now, wait a minute. We don't do this. That's naughty. We don't do that. And I want to tell you something. Because you did that and it was naughty and it wasn't right, that's just to remind you the next time you think about doing it, that if you do it again, there'll be some more inflicted pain. Because I'm trying to train you. I don't hate you because I do this. I do this because I love you and want you to be disciplined and to follow and do what's right rather than doing that which is wrong. Now I know I could get in trouble with the screwball social workers, but the four winds on them, they don't understand the Bible nor Christianity. It's not built on screwball principles because we are all of an Adamic, from Adam, nature that is wicked and carnal and dirty and ungodly, and we have to, by the work of God and the help of the Lord, to be able to discipline a child. And if you don't train the child, that child doesn't have much of a chance. But correction and reproof, if it's done properly, you don't beat kids, you don't beat them, that's not what you call Christianity. You train them though. If you train them just right, you wouldn't have to give very much of this kind of stuff. They'll catch on quick. But you have to be firm and straight and keep at it. I know that there are a lot of people that abuse children. They're dumb, stupid fools. You don't gain anything by abusing a child, but you can train them. I mean, you can take a dog and train a dog. You can take a horse and train a horse. I suppose you could train fish of the sea. But it takes training to do that. And it takes training to train a child. And we don't do this because this, and we don't do this because of that. That will happen if we do this, and so we don't want you to go out here and play in the road. They may all miss, the cars all may miss you, but there's a better chance of you getting killed out there in the middle of the road. So you don't go out in the road. So you kind of keep them off the curb. I don't know whether you can understand what I'm saying, because some of you are pretty young to understand anything. But you just discipline and care for your children. And it was said about Adonijah, who was the son of David, and his father had not displeased him at any time, saying, "Why hast thou done so?" And this fella did a dirty, dastardly, wicked thing and sinned bad. Read the Bible, 1 Kings 1 and 6. You'll see where he was going to usurp authority and overthrow his own dad, because his dad never corrected him. If you don't correct your child and train your child, I'll tell you what will happen. He'll spit in your face. He'll spit in your face. He'll spit in your face and deny you that you're even his dad or mother. Treat you dastardly, wickedly. Well, the rod of reproof giveth wisdom, is what the scripture says. Chasten thy own son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crime. I was traveling, my wife and I, home from a meeting in the South. I think it was in Tennessee or Kentucky. And there was a black preacher on the radio. We just happened to pick him up. Man, he was preaching, man. I mean, he was in a high hum, and he was preaching. And he was preaching about training children, raising up children. And he's talking about chastising them, spanking them. And he said, I knows, this way he was talking, I'm not making fun of him, I'm just telling him what he said. I knows that it's against the law to spank a child. And he said, I knows that they can call 911. But he said, if you would spank that child, you'll drive all of that out of his mind, and he will never call 911. That is, if you train them right. They're not going to rebel against their mother and dad. You're sitting here like bumps on a log tonight. But without, this is Proverbs 23:13, withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with a rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with a rod, and shalt deliver his soul from hell. And again, I'm saying, I'm not talking about beating a kid with a piece of pipe. I'm not talking about that. Or a broom handle. But if you correct the child, God chastises us. If you're a Christian, you expect God to chastise you if you don't do right. That's a part of our Christian. And if we get by with things and God doesn't expect, he said, you're not even a child of God, because he doesn't let any child of God go without chastising. And it's discipline. And I know that it doesn't, he said, if you're not chastised, it seemeth, good for the present, but he said afterward the chastising will bring forth fruit, and your life will be more blessed, and your heart and life will be settled, and you'll have a wonderful, I know that I have really had a wonderful life. I have had a wonderful life. I got a lot of spankings, a lot of them. Those social workers would have put my dad in jail. But I'm thankful for every whipping I got. I thank my dad for every one he gave me. I did. And I said, I wish you'd have given me more. I'd probably been a better man. And I know that kids, even sometimes when they're chasing, will go bad. And parents try to train them, but they still turned and went the other way. They meet people. They meet other young people. And sometimes they marry. Girl meets this boy, and this boy meets this girl. I may have all these standards in my home and all these convictions, and I've tried to train them, my children, to follow after righteousness. But they fall in love with this stupid fool. And he didn't have those same convictions, and that daughter will follow after that boy stupidly, or the boy after the girl who had not training at home. And the kids, when you get married, if you don't marry somebody with the same convictions that you've had in your life, you're going to have a whale of a lot of trouble in your home. And if you don't, you're going to tear the heart out of your mother and dad, because they cannot see the blessings of God in your life because you're following your mate. And, what can I say? You can't blame parents. You can't put all the blame on them for things that the kids don't turn out right, because everybody has their own brains, and you have to let them grow up. You can't tell them what to do all their life. You have to stop somewhere and say, I can't tell you what to do. You're a man, and I'm your dad, but I'm not running you, and I can't. You have to stop somewhere. And if they picked up wrong things from, I'm just saying, but you take a good spanking. Brother Shade, a good spanking of a child brings judgment down upon that wrongdoing. And it settles the matter. You don't have to give him a spanking every day because he did something 10 years ago, so you're going to be judging him all the time. No, a spanking settles the whole thing. You walk away from it, it's done forever. It's settled. Judgment has already fallen. It don't keep falling, it just falls one time. The next time he does, he gets another one. But I mean, it settles it. You inflict pain for wrongdoing, and it's a deterrent from future action, and it doesn't leave bitterness. I'm telling you, it doesn't leave bitterness. You think, well, it would leave bitterness. No, it doesn't. I never felt bitter toward my mother and dad. It satisfies God. It gives security to the child that somebody cares about me and just not let me do anything I want to do. And it shapes their life. It keeps them out of crime. It gives peace to the household. There's not disturbance all the time because unruly kids in the home. It makes you a better person. It helps you get along with other people because you had to get along. In your family, one of the biggest requirements, I filled out a lot of them over the years. People would send me, concerning this guy would like a job with us, and can he get along with people? Is one of those requirements that every boss wants to know, whether this guy is going to be causing me trouble or is he going to get along and enjoy his work with us. And it's a part of growing up. It makes you a better person, and it's just a part of a good sound background in your home, in your life, is to have the chastisement. In our text there it said, the rod and the reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. I think maybe I'll try to do one more, sister, before we hang it up for tonight. I'm running over than I mostly do, but I'm sure anxious to finish these next couple chapters. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. It just seems as though, and it is true, that wickedness will increase and advance and grow more so, and people become more and more wicked. But as it says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, and the righteous shall see their fall. Otherwise, you may say, well, this guy is getting away with all of this, but that's not true. He said, you will see their fall. Their fall. You watch now. It may look like if they're getting away with their wrongdoing, but it's not that way at all. I'm reading Proverbs 12:19. The lips of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Just believe me, class, that wickedness will not prevail. It may for a while, but sin will find you out. It'll find you out in your actions. It'll find you out in your conversation. You'll be talking smutty and dirty and filthy and cussing It'll come right up out of you, and people will know it. And you will find it in your companions, because that's who you care to be with. You'll find it in you'll display what's inside your heart by the clothes that you wear. Your clothes just about tell it all of who you are, your station in life, your desires, who you like to please. If you like to please the hippie crowd, the wicked crowd, the young folks of this world, the rock and rollers and all that, you'll dress like they will, and your belly button will be showing, and your backside will be showing, and your young people usually don't wear clothes, they wear costumes. They want to be just like somebody else that are their peers or whatever. But it'll all come out in you if you're wicked, in your character, and sooner or later in your children, because all your sins will be passed down to your third and fourth generation, and they'll all be a bunch of rebels just like you. And even in the courts of heaven, when you stand before God, it will be revealed, and that which is done in secret shall be shouted from the mountaintop. Job chapter 20 verse 5 said, the triumphing of the wicked is short, but the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. I don't know what you want, but I know what I'm after. I'm after honesty. And honesty is the best policy. I'm after the Holy Spirit's infilling of my life, and I'm going to do right so that I can maintain and abide close to God, to have His Spirit upon me. I want to be highly respected. I would hope that everybody in this room respects me as your pastor, as your teacher, as a Christian leader. That doesn't come overnight. It comes because you earn that respect. I want to be a humble man. I want to be hardened against criticism and not let it throw me. I'm telling you, class, I get shot out of the saddle just about every week from somebody. But I want to be faithful to God, and I want you to grow up.